All right, now checking back in with weather. We've talked about those red flag warnings from today, dust storms, and of course the air quality being affected. So Tom is joining me now. So Thomas, can you sum up everything that we are seeing right now, and especially for people out and about today, of course, coming home from Labor Day weekend?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the tricky part of this forecast is how do we sum up all that information? It's all the bottom line, it's all because of the winds and how strong and extreme they are today. All the implications and factors beyond that are really pointed back to how strong the winds are. And of course, if you do have to travel home, consider postponing any kind of trips this evening, especially if you're going through an area that might be less than ideal visibility wise, or even just postpone it till tomorrow when it's a little bit safer. But here's where we stand right now. High wind warnings and wind advisories remain in effect across the region until about 8 o'clock this evening. The strongest winds likely in central Washington, but we've seen wind gusts upwards of even 50 miles per hour, even close to the Spokane area already this afternoon. Here are the implications based on just the winds and how strong they are for today. We're seeing tree damage and power outages. Of course, tens of thousands of people already without a power as of this afternoon. Blowing dust and low road visibility, especially for parts of the plains and the Columbia Basin. Those visibilities almost make it look like it's a blizzard outside. And the red flag warnings and the critical fire danger, as we've seen a whole lot of new fires pop up early this morning as well as into the afternoon hours. Here are the highest wind speeds that we've seen reported so far, up to 54 miles per hour in the Sandpoint area. And of course, the tree damage and the power outages are a direct result of that. Here's just one example of the fence, not so lucky, but if we have other situations like this, if the trees fall on the power lines, that's where we're getting a lot of those power outages as of this hour. The blowing dust is kind of the next biggest thing across the region. All these solid tan and orange shades that you see here, the dust advisory, the blowing dust advisory, and the dust storm warning in the orange area, part of Whitman County and Adams County. So Ritzville and Washtenaw definitely in the center of some of the worst reported dust storm conditions, visibilities as low as a quarter of a mile. It's essentially a blizzard just without the snow and without the icy roads, but it's certainly causing some traffic jams and just very slow speeds overall. Here was one such example. It almost just looks like I didn't even put the graphic here, but if you look very closely, you can see a couple street lights just on the left side of the screen here and maybe the outline of that tree. This is not before dawn. This is 11:30 in the morning near Coulee City in the Ephrata area. The dust so compact and so dense that it just made it look like outright nighttime out there. And of course, we have a list of road closures. I think the big one is still Vantage to Ritzville on I-90. That is closed. So again, if you were traveling or thinking about traveling back home after a Labor Day celebration with your family, make sure you know where the roads are closed and if you have to avoid that or just postpone your travel for the time being. Now to the red flag warnings. Of course, it's a dry and windy day, hence the high to critical fire danger across the region. We saw that coming, but now we have the wildfires that have ignited across the region. They're taking these conditions and are spreading very, very quickly. This is definitely aggressive fire behavior. Both that video and this picture here from the fire that's in Okanogan County, south of Omak, close to the Brewster area. That is a very large fire that erupted early this morning. And of course, it's hard to contain in these conditions when it is so windy and so dry outside. When we look at the big picture in the weather satellite here, you can definitely pick out, if you look really closely and if you see the high resolution image on the internet, you can even pick out all the individual fires that have emerged for today. But what I'm noticing is that since the winds are so strong out of the north and east, the smoke is getting blown in this direction, closer towards the Tri-Cities, closer towards northern Oregon. This is where you see these kind of darker gray images here. That's where, of course, a lot of the smoke and haze is settling and continue to get pushed by the winds. I think the air quality got a small hit earlier today. It was as low as the unhealthy category. It has since been on the improvement. It was unhealthy as of last hour. It had just gotten updated by Spokane's Clean Air Agency into the moderate category. So we're seeing an improvement in Spokane because the winds are basically blowing the smoke away from us, but locally it could be a different story in other areas across the region. This is what I found most impressive. When you look at our Doppler radar from the National Weather Service in Spokane, These trails of green are not rain. These are the wildfires and the smoke attached to that. So I pointed it out, at least 4 or 5 just on the screen here. And of course, we know there are more that might be flying under the radar, but it's just another tool that we can use to pinpoint where some of these fires are starting to crop up, especially if they are near that site out in Airway Heights. Big picture, okay, when is this all going to come to an end? It's all being caused by this massive and powerful cold front driving in from the north and into the northern tier of the U.S. This is going to cause implications from severe weather out east, even snow across some of the Rocky Mountains, and for us, we had the biggest wind energy in the inland northwest, hence since we saw those high wind warnings. This all starts to calm down slightly after about 8 o'clock tonight and the midnight hours. So when I take you to Future Tracker, notice that the orange and red shades do start to depart the region. So our wind gusts go from 45 to 60 miles per hour right now to 10 to 30 miles per hour tonight, to a more manageable and reasonable 5 to 10 miles per hour for tomorrow. So thankfully, tomorrow's weather forecast is a lot more calm than it was today. But note that it is going to be very cold tomorrow morning. This is a very powerful cold front. Hence, we will easily see temperatures not just in the 40s, but watch this, 30s in some regions. Look at Deer Park, Newport, Sandpoint, as well as Pullman. Your low temperatures tomorrow morning are going to be in the 30s. A little bit fall-like, maybe a little bit early for that. There are frost advisories for Orofino and Grangeville. Thankfully, this is pretty much just a one-day thing because we go roaring back into summer later on in the week. So let's fast forward to the 7-day forecast, because beyond today and beyond tonight, it is once again a calm, quiet, and summer-like forecast as we go back into the 90s by this weekend.
All right, look at that. So you have a little light after this small moment here, but we did have a couple questions for you, Thomas. So first off, you did talk about the jet stream and that sort of cold front coming in. And for folks that are driving home tonight, you did mention 8 o'clock it might die down just a bit, but even then, it still might be a little bit dangerous because of all the effects of that wind. Right?
Yeah, and of course it'll be nighttime at that point too. So I think if we can get those wind speeds below 30 or 20 miles per hour, a lot of that dust does start to settle, making it much safer. But of course, we will have to wait for a lot of those roads to open because there might still be accidents ongoing. Air quality conditions on this Tuesday afternoon honestly have improved slightly from the last several days. In fact, we can see the sunshine today. It's probably the most sunshine that we've seen since past Friday. And here's the thing, the air quality, while still listed as hazardous across town, well, there are actually several different monitors that report the air quality condition, all monitored by Spokane's Regional Clean Air Agency. There's 4 sites that measure what are called PM 2.5 particles, which is the fine particles that the wildfire smoke produces. And even if one of them is listed as hazardous, then the report goes down as hazardous. But forecasting the wildfire smoke is an entirely different beast, because forecast computer models typically do not take into consideration any kind of wildfire smoke. There is one particular model, the HRRR, that does have an experimental version of this, but it only goes out 48 hours. So there's a lot of analysis and observation that goes into the wildfire smoke forecast. So that's obviously what we're taking into consideration as meteorologists as we get new data, new observations, and new models day by day. Can't imagine what all the firefighters are going through right now, trying to attack those fires while the winds are calm right now, fortunately in the midst of all the unhealthy to hazardous air quality that we've been dealing with. And it's that unhealthy air quality that will continue for a couple more days, topping our weather headlines. But we did get our first little bit of relief in the form of a few showers off to the north, as I'll show you it, but we need more. And I think some rain is on the way for this upcoming weekend, and that will help out significantly. Right now in Spokane, still listed as hazardous air quality with the AQI at 316. The other sites in town are just in the very unhealthy category. In fact, I think most areas in the inland northwest did actually improve slightly. And if you compare just number to number, remember on Sunday it was down to 499. So at about, what, 35–40% better than it was from this weekend. We'll take any kind of improvement. In fact, when you look at the air quality index across Washington, just this one site in Spokane and a few areas towards Yakima and and down towards the Tri-Cities are reporting hazardous. Otherwise, all these other reports are mainly just unhealthy or very unhealthy. Still a concern for the area, but again, a little bit better than what it was from the recent days. And we can actually see the thinning of some of this wildfire smoke on our GOES 17 weather satellite. Look at this. This is northern Washington. You can even see the mountains perhaps sticking out from the wildfire smoke just a little bit. And I think that relief came in the form of some showers in the morning hours. Here's Doppler radar from about 2 a.m. to 10 a.m. this morning. Just enough rainfall, especially getting through the Omak area in the morning hours. Some areas picking up 1/10 of an inch of rain. Doesn't sound like much, but it's been more than what we've seen in the last 2 to 3 months combined. So that kind of rainfall did help out significantly in the morning, but the smoke did inundate just back in the afternoon. So the air quality alerts still continue for the region. And I think our friends out west in Seattle are going to be dealing with some unhealthy air quality for tomorrow as well. We just need to wait a couple more days for that weather system, which is just hanging out right on the coast. Once it moves through on Friday, any kind of rainfall that we get, be it the Cascades or even through the inland northwest, will help out significantly, and it should actually push out any of that wildfire smoke for this weekend as well. Bring on the rain. Have a decent chance for it this Friday evening and Saturday.
All right. Hoping for rain, that's for sure. Thomas, thank you very much.